Hello and welcome to Mystery Monday number 12. This assignment this week is designed to stretch your thinking. Let's start by looking at the learning scale. Our learning goal is to cite strong and thorough textual evidence to support an analysis of what the text says explicitly, as well as inferences drawn from the text, including where the text leaves matters uncertain. You're going to rate yourself at a 4, a 3, a 2, or a 1 according to the scale here. You're picking up on where the text is matters uncertain and nuance like sarcasm and irony. And then it sort of drops kind of from there. You're missing out on little pieces um, as the scale drops. Ideally, we want everyone at a 3, but if you're at a 2 or a 1, that is okay. Please be honest about that because it's not a reflection of you as much as it's a reflection of things that I can do better to help you understand. So let's head back to our story. For the vocabulary this week, you'll need to identify 3 words from the story that you don't know. And then you will find their part of speech, their definition, their synonym, and antonym. Next, this lesson will test your understanding of inferences, because you are going to be the one to write the questions. Remember when you write questions to look for spots where the text leaves matters uncertain, or when something is said where the writer expects that we as the audience already know some context or some background. First, take a moment to read the story. So there are 2 things that seem necessary to discuss for background and for context when it comes to this story. The first is the reference to the red herring questioned by Wendy Pickle as she's trying to figure out exactly what's with these paintings and how they've been returned. A red herring is as much a debate tactic as it is a logical fallacy. We're focusing on the logical fallacy side here. It is a fallacy of distraction and is committed when a listener attempts to divert an arguer from his argument by introducing another topic. So trying to distract the person, in this case Wendy Pickle, with other things, and you have to decide if that's important or not. And the second bit of information that seems necessary, because again it was so long ago, we're talking about a Renaissance period, is kind of the understanding of Adam and Eve in this Garden of Eden painting that they've discussed, or that they've discovered. And so here's kind of a little bit of background, a bit of an answer. It says, while it may seem like a trivial question, artists and theologians have been debating the appearance of Adam and Eve's midriffs for centuries. Some theologians claim that Adam and Eve did not have navels, since they were not born of a woman. Others argue that since Adam and Eve were the perfect models of humankind, God would not have created them with navels. Most artists, especially after the Renaissance, choose to depict Adam and Eve with navels because they looked unnatural without them. But a few painters, including 16th century Dutch artist Jan van Scorel, in his Adam and Eve in Paradise, selected the former interpretation and depicted the biblical pair as smooth stomach progenitors. Let's look at a close reading of an important section of the story now. Finally, after what Wendy thought was a somewhat overlong and lascivious stare at the Giotto nudes, Drexel stretched and yawned, came over to where she sat, and began to repack his equipment in the smaller case. Very carefully, he pressed the empty chip bags flat and laid them in as well. 11 of these and you get a free hamburger, he said to her, very conscious of the importance of this advice. I can usually get up to 2 hamburgers by Saturday, sometimes 3. You can even get hot dogs too, but not me. Do you know what goes into the wieners? The paintings are okay. No trouble getting ink off. It's water soluble. Took me a while to realize it. I expected more damage. I'll do it this afternoon if you like. I could do it right away, but I've got a euchre game. Beautiful work. The paintings, I mean. Even the fake Garden of Eden. Nothing like the Renaissance for nudes. Can't understand it, though. It just seems so silly. Wendy Pickerel's emotions struggled with shock, relief, and developing awareness. She jumped to her feet. Of course it's fake. The Garden of Eden. I should have seen it right away. You should be using this close reading to help you write your inference questions. Next, here is the solution. It is apparent to Wendy Pickerel that the thieves intended to steal only the anonymous Garden of Eden and set up a number of red herrings to throw off and then stop the subsequent investigation. They stole 4 paintings and presumably returned them all, having engaged only in what appeared to be a serious but harmless joke. Namely, painting raisins into the navels of nudes, as though it were all a freshman prank. The discovery or rediscovery of paintings was a relief to Monopoly Trust and Wendy Pickerel, but the vandalism was an entirely new matter, and the thieves must have intended that Wendy Monopoly Trust be further relieved to learn that the damage was easily remediable. All this distraction was designed to let the fake Garden of Eden slip in undetected. Mark Drexel and then Wendy, however, knew the painting of Adam and Eve in the Renaissance, especially early Renaissance, usually depicted those characters without navels. The artist who produced the fake had to give them navels to make the distraction work. It almost succeeded. Now, given the solution, what did the author want us to infer about the story? Looking back, remember to look back. These often serve as clues or foreshadowing. These inferences, they end up being foreshadows. So foreshadowing and inferences, like I said, they often go hand in hand. So given what you know about the story, you've read it or you've used the audiobook. You've also had a chance to see the solution. It is time to write the questions. And finally, here we are back at the learning scale. Where would you rate your ability to draw inferences from the text? Would you put yourself at a 4, a 3, a 2, or a 1?